Welcome back YouTube, or anyone that's new to my channel. Thank you so much for coming by, and today we are going to be talking about body fat. This is a topic that nobody wants to talk about, that we need to talk about, because too many people are putting pressure on themselves to conform to an ideal body fat or maintain a certain body fat year round, which is just unattainable. And there's also people that talk on the internet about being 5%, 10%, whatever percent they are. And really, does it A, matter, and B, how do you actually accurately measure body fat percentage? So the gold standard for measuring body fat percentage is underwater weighing. So that is the absolute gold standard, and there is not many places, especially within Australia, that you can do this that isn't A, super expensive, and B, in terms of like being in a university or part of a study, it's not very accessible to the average person. I know that a few American YouTubers have actually shown that there's now vans that are testing it in the US, but we just don't have those facilities here yet that I'm aware of, at least in Western Australia. So what is the next best thing? It's probably a Dexa scanner. They have a very high accuracy rate, but there is still some discrepancies in terms of fluid, in terms of times of day that you're doing it. There's still so many variables that are going to factor to a certain extent. But if you're going to get one done that you want comparable, one that you can also see in lean tissue mass, get pretty accurate results, then I would say a Dexa is going to be your next best results. So then you've got your other ones down from there in terms of calipers, so getting someone to actually physically measure body fat with either some heart bending calipers or the plastic calipers, or even doing your like stand-on measurements, so where you're standing holding the handles in terms of like a bioelectrical impedance scanner. They're going to be your next ones. But the problem is that the variance between these is so different that it's almost irrelevant. So my theory is, if you're going to get this done, make sure that you measure yourself on the even playing field, so that you always get your test done at the same place. But in saying this, don't then compare yourself to someone else. If you see someone gets a Dexa and they're 30% and you get your pinches done and you're 15%, you might actually be the same level of body fat, because it's very hard to determine what is the best method of doing it. And if someone's doing your pinches, it needs to be the same person doing the test as well, because I could pinch slightly differently to someone else if I've been trained differently. For me, at university, we get taught a 7-site caliper measurement. I use the Harris-Benedict equation to work out body fat, but someone else might use a different method, might use a 5-site, might use a 9-site. So all of these factors are going to affect what body fat percentage you come out at. If, say, you did your 5 sites and they were some of your leanest sites, whereas you do a 7-site, which I feel is a little bit more accurate, then it's going to be maybe a better representation of overall body fat. Because say, for example, you store most of the weight in your lower body, but with the 5-site, there's only maybe one lower body reading, whereas with the 7, I do a thigh and a calf reading. So it gives you a bit more of a bigger picture of what's going on. So in saying all this, we went and got some Dexas done. I recently we are going to go get some Dexas done and see what actual percent body fat are we. Dexas are meant to be the most accurate second to underwater weighing. That is pretty much the gold standard. Don't know of anywhere in Australia you can actually get that done yet in terms of a casual sense. I think you can get it done at like some universities. But in America, I've seen they actually have tanks that drive around and you can get in the water and measure your body fat, which would be really cool if somebody brought that to Australia. New business idea? Do it! We are estimating. Sean reckons he's going to be about, what did you say, 28%?
50.
I reckon Sean will be about 17, 18%, and I reckon I'm going to be like proper fat. I reckon I'm going to be about 25, 26. What do you reckon?
Yeah, but you're a girl. Girls tend to
have
5 to 8% more just for that. So
just for having boobies.
And boobies!
So the reason that I don't really like other methods of body fat is because they're so inconsistent. Not so much just that, but they're not comparable. You can't really compare, like say if Sean does a client skin folds and then I do a client skin folds, they're going to be completely different. So if you're using them just for a personal quantitative measure in terms of just seeing if they reduce every week, completely fine. But if you're going to compare, say, your skin folds to one other person and it's done by a different individual, completely irrelevant. So if you are wanting to measure body fat, I would recommend getting a Dexa done if you want it to be comparable to other people. I don't think you need to compare it to other people. You're never going to get into an event and need to know what body fat you are. But we're more going, I guess we want to see more about our muscle mass. We want to see how much is actually muscle, how much fat we have. Because we know we've obviously got a bit of body fat on us, but we want to see if we've made some gains. Is that right, Shawnee?
I hope so. I've got bloody fat to try and get them.
So Sean actually starts his cut, and I'm putting it out there on YouTube, so now you have to do it. Sean starts his cut on, when?
March.
When we get back from Arnold's, he's pretty much going to start dieting then, so he can eat his way through Melbourne, and then we'll get back. So I'm going to pretty much cut most of the way through till March. Doesn't mean I'm going to be in a deficit the entire time, because we're now in November. Probably have a diet break, but that is the goal. I want to be lean when we go to Arnold's. Maybe do some photo shoots and stuff over there, and Sean's going to be at the peak of his bulk, so that's going to be fun. If you would like to see more of this guy, go to my Snapchat, because he has no idea what I put on there, and it's mostly him.
It's mainly to do with pooing.
Great. Alright, we're gonna go get our scans. See ya! What you got there?
Macro snacks.
With what?
With chobani and blueberries, frozen blueberries and banana.
Yum.
Telling me banana.
So what are we gonna go get done?
We, unfortunately, are going for Dexa scans.
To see how fat we are.
See how much muscle we have, how shredded we are, and how these bananas are affecting me. If I'm fat, it's all in the bananas.
You haven't even been eating bananas lately.
I know. I need an excuse. N-E-Y?
Cool. And did you have a middle initial?
A.
A. And when was your birthday?
20th of October,
Yeah.
1984.
And do you know what your current weight is?
Fluctuates in 98 and 102. I'd say about 98.
98? The
Yeah.
scan will give your exact weight anyway.
If he's pooped, then it'll be done,
Yeah, I'm really eating a lot.
Do you know what your height is?
175.
I was going to say, I have no idea what that is in
Nah.
centimetres.
Who talks in inches? How old are you?
176. Fucking not.
Alrighty, I'm going to ask you a few questions. They're more than likely not going to apply to you, but they're just standard.
Cool.
No previous hip or vertebral fractures?
Hope not.
No? Nothing
No.
no. Move down that way a little bit. Perfect there. We'll come back up this way a little bit just so your toes are on. Awesome. Fingers on top of each other, resting like that. Actually, you can come back a little bit as well, sorry.
That's good.
There you go. And arms in slightly for me, they just have to be inside, but not touching your hips.
Too big.
Awesome. Heels out for me, toes together. So it looks like that. Do you want me to put a lacquer band around your toes? It actually surprisingly helps a lot.
Go for it.
Yeah? Have a look here. I'll just
Got fat
grab
feet.
one for you.
I'm going to cry at the end of this. We'll see. Is there good lighting in it?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh yeah, it's like that. Dexa Scan. Blame that.
Look at your thunder
You
thighs,
better
Sean.
just it. Oh gosh. Did you have any, just going to take jewellery off,
Yeah.
did you have any underwear in your bra or anything like
No. That's what happens when you get hit by cars.
That's not right.
That's your spine.
How long ago was that?
About a year and a half ago? Yeah, and he's never even gone and got a scan or gone and got it checked, and
Oh,
keeps
really?
deadlifting and
Oops.
Does it hurt though?
yeah.
Oh.
And
Do you have middle initial?
yeah, both.
Oh, you just need to take your necklace off, sorry.
yeah.
And when was your birthday?
29th of the 4th, 88.
And do you know your current weight?
Yeah, I think 68.
68, perfect. And height?
164.
64. You guys are really good. What evidence is that?
We're
So we
nerds.
actually get measured for comps. They always,
very true.
like bodybuilding shows if you're in high classes.
Very true. So, did you hear all the questions I asked?
Yeah, I don't think any of that.
No? Not a lot of it doesn't apply to your age. Alright, we'll pop you on the scanner. Heads up, fire and peek down this end. Do you have any bobby pins or anything in your hair?
Yeah, no. No, I've got hex, so it's just a bit of plastic, so they should be okay.
All good.
As soon as you get in and the machine goes, I'll get out.
Alrighty. Fingers resting on top of each other and move them away from your body. Wicked, and heels out, toes together. Other way around. I'll grab your lucky band.
I know what you mean, it's like an awkward position to
Yeah,
sit
it's hard work.
Especially because we always try to squat that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's only because you need to be able to see both of your tibia and your fibia.
Yeah.
So when you turn it around.
And it's really hard.
No talking, no moving, sorry.
Sorry.
I'll come back in once you're done.
Because we're looking at that much, it could be 70, it could be 100.
So were you fat?
That's ultra fat.
You were leaner than me. You're
Oh,
just.
in the scheme of things, if you take male and female,
I was leaner.
you were leaner, I'd say. But I have 30 kilos more muscle mass, so we'll go for that one. Let's just concentrate on muscle mass.
I don't want to be 70 kilos of muscle. Scanners done in Perth, like one of the Helix scanners, and on that I came out at about 18%. I went and got my Dexa done and I was 27%. So you can see the difference there. I also did skin folds and I came out at about 18% as well. So the skin folds and the Helix scanner were pretty similar. I had Sean do mine and I did his because we wanted to test all three measurements. But as you can see, we're a lot fatter than what we thought. So once we did the Dexa, we really understood what was going on with our bodies. The last time I had a Dexa done, it was before I competed. It was before I went to Worlds, I think in Ukraine, for IFBB Bikini, which was now about 4 years ago. And I was very lean then. I was working with Lane then, Lane Norton, and I think back then I was 11 or 12%, which is ultra lean on a Dexa for a female. So for a female, the ranges they say that are healthy on a Dexa are anywhere between 25 and 35%. So that is a very big range there. That is your healthy range. Anywhere from 15 to 25% is athletic, and anywhere from 15% and under, they say not many girls get under 10%, then you're extra lean. So that would be like your gymnasts or athletes, or people that, bodybuilders, all that sort of thing. So my goal is to get back under that 15% range on a Dexa within the next year. That is going to be part of my plan. I know that's not going to happen overnight. We've got about 13% to lose to get back down there, but that's going to be my goal by around April, I would say. So we've got about 4 months to get down there. So in terms of that, the interesting thing for me was the muscle mass difference. At the moment on the Dexa, I weighed 67 kilos, and when I got it done last time, I was about 57 kilos. So what you will get if you do a Dexa, I'll go through the results with you now. I've got Sean's and mine. Is you'll get a nice printout like this, and basically on there it has my total body fat mass, and then you get where is it, next page, okay, and then you get your lean, which is your BMC, and then you also have your total mass in grams, so 67 kilos. My lean BMC is 48 kilos, my fat mass is 19 kilos. And then you've obviously got a couple of kilos of like bone and everything like that, that in your Helix, they can't actually separate those out a lot. So all up, in terms of my lean muscle mass and bone mass, is about 50 kilos. So then I know I've got about that 17 kilos of fat mass, even though it's 19 on, that 17 kilos of fat mass. So from there, if I'm wanting to get down to about 15% or a bit less, I'm going to need to get my fat mass down around the 7-8 kilo mark, which means I'm going to need to be losing about 8 to 9 kilos, I would say, which seems like a lot. So my goal is to get it down to about 60 kilos and see where I'm at around that weight. So about 7 kilos down by, like I said, no rush, probably about March, around Arnold's time, I'm going to be doing a powerlifting comp, so that's going to be the goal there. So in terms of DEXAs, they are awesome. They give you really detailed results. You can check everything. It tells you even the difference between your left arm and your right arm. So they're very, very accurate. So if you're going to have an argument with someone about them being 5%, they're probably not. They need to go get a DEXA done. One of the leanest people that's ever done a DEXA is ALBERTO NUNEZ. So if you go and Google ALBERTO NUNEZ Dexa Scan, I'll pop a link below. He's one of the leanest natural males I have probably ever seen, and I'm pretty sure he was like 7% on a DEXA. So if there's anyone out there that's saying that they are way leaner than that, then I would love for you to go and get a DEXA. So this video for me, it was actually quite hard to share the fact that I'm like 27% body fat with everyone on the internet, but that is a very healthy range for a female. I haven't really been dieting like this year or consistently. It's been very up and down. So for me, I'm pretty actually happy with those numbers. And I just want to explain that even though that is a number on a piece of paper, it's so irrelevant to my life and to what I'm doing and to what my goals are. But the reason that I like seeing that is because it gives me a challenge, it gives me some goals to work towards. But if I don't get to sub 15%, I'm not going to beat myself up, because I'm sure I'm going to look amazing no matter what if I get to around that, 60 kilo goal mark, which is where I want to be next year. So I guess I just want to finish up with that. Your body fat doesn't define you. It's interesting to see what body fat you are, how much muscle mass you have, but at the end of the day, it really makes no difference, okay? So if you're someone that wants to quantify your results and say tested it, maybe the start of a cut and the end of a cut, then by all means go nuts. But there is no need to do it if you do not want to know for a start, and you're just an average Joe and you just love your training and all of that. There is really no need to go test body fat. With most of my online clients, I don't do it. We generally go by pictures, by girth measurements. At the end of the day, the image is what shows your hard work. So if your image hasn't changed but your body fat has, then I'd be questioning those methods that you're testing it on. So be sure that when you get it done, or if you're asking someone their body fat, I almost think it's quite a rude question. People always ask me all the time, oh, what's your body fat percentage? And I'm like, but did you do yours at a DEXA? That's why mine sounds a lot fatter than yours. So if you're going to ever ask someone again what body fat they are, which again, I don't really think is a question you need to ask people, then you need to probably ask them what methods they got that tested on, because then it's going to have a little bit more relevance. So as you can see, DEXAs tend to scan you about anywhere from 5 to 15% higher than what maybe calipers or a helix would. So just be mindful of that when you are comparing body fat, and that you're also not valuing your self-worth based on what that body fat reading spits out to you. So enjoy the footage, get to go and see me and Shawnee get a DEXA, and that's it. We'll see you there. So that DEXA was done on the, where are we? 15th of November. I know this video is late. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo my DEXA in about 10 weeks time. So that will be around, oh, it can't be maths. Around about, I would say I'm going to get it redone again at the end of January. And then I'm going to get it redone again just before we go to the Arnold Classic in Melbourne, Australia, which will be my next powerlifting comp. A little summary there. I was supposed to be doing a powerlifting comp in 2 weeks time, and I actually have severely injured my C5, C6 facet joint in my neck. So I had to pull out and make the call last week, which was really upsetting. Had to be done, and there was no way of getting around it. I was training and getting more and more injured as I trained. Whenever I put a bar on my back to squat, my whole left side would seize up. And I believe at the end of the day, I train because I love training. I don't train to be in pain. So for me, trying to push to that powerlifting stage was so irrelevant. And if I had have backed off and say gone lighter leading into the comp, I probably wouldn't have got PBs, which is the whole reason why you test yourself. If I have a client who I get to do some max testing, which we do all quite frequently, a couple of times a year, and say they get an injury, I'm not going to be like, okay, yeah, let's go for that max testing next week. I'll be like, well, there's no point right now. let's deload it, back it off, and when you're ready again and feeling in a good position, then we're going to test again. So why, if you're trying to be competitive, would you then put yourself in that position? It was just not making any sense. So anyway, I've looked up the new IPF schedule for 2016 and 2017 now, and we've run into a few problems. The next comp in Perth, which I wanted to do to try to qualify for nationals, is on the same date that we'll be in Arnold's, in Melbourne for the Arnold Classic, and I've got clients competing, so there's no way that I can do both. But on a positive note, there is a Melbourne IPF comp on the Sunday of Arnold, so I'm going to try to email the IPF and see if it's not an issue that I can compete in Melbourne over Perth, because that's going to be the only show that's really nearby and it saves me flying somewhere else. That is the thing that sucks about IPF in WA. There's only a couple of comps a year. So I'm going to try to squeeze into that one, which will now be 14 weeks away, which gives me enough time to rehab my injury, do some hypertrophy work, and then get back into it. So that's where I'm at. I hope you enjoy this footage and video, and please comment if you haven't already subscribed. Please do so if you enjoyed this video. Comment below what you would like to see on the channel, because I'm obviously interested in what you guys want to see rather than content that I just want to put out, because you're the ones that are watching it after all. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to even see more of me and Sean, we would be happy to do some Q&As or whatever you would like. Have a beautiful day.